Hello, welcome to Creatacast with your host David Welch. There's been a lot of good stuff lately going on. The first thing that I had to note is our streaming lives poetry book is underway. It's on the editing block right now. I have a few poets from school taking a look at it, and they're going to give me some recommendations, maybe some fixes. There's a few poems that I don't think I hit just right, but I put them in there anyway, just to kind of see, just to kind of get feedback. I do want them in the book, but I definitely want feedback from the editing team that I have, my poetry editing team. When it comes to fiction, I have one lady that I pay to look over my fiction, and she does a really good job of not just doing basic edits, but she does extreme continuity. She has good continuity understanding for stories, so she kind of digs out missing continuity pieces and recognize like plot holes and stuff really quick. So she's working on Linked at the moment. Linked is the young adult literature novel that I'm working on. I do have a veterans chapbook coming out. It's either going to be 22 total pages or 22 total poems. I was trying to do 22 poems. I didn't get enough submissions for the 22 poems, so I'm redoing the numbers and seeing if I can't fit it on 22 pages. Because the theme of the poetry chapbook is 22, and the content deals with life after service, pretty much a veteran's life. It touches on some issues like the VA being fucked up. So there are some VAs out there that are really good. Like the VA that I had in Texas was really good. I liked that one that I went to. But the VA here in Phoenix sucks, and I'm sure there's VAs elsewhere that are just equally as laughable. I know a lot of veterans in the Idaho, Utah area are really struggling to get um, their proper compensation and their disability claims because they literally have to drive sometimes 5-6 hours just to get to the VA in order because there's no VA in their town. They might have a VA rep, but they don't. There's no VA hospital like in a big city like Phoenix. Now there's one in Boise, but if you live in rural Idaho, you're not gonna be able to get to Boise, much less get to the VA, you know, hospital up there. So they do allow you to outsource in those situations. But sometimes even then you still have to drive. Like I have family in the Jerome, Wendell, Twin Falls area, and they literally have to drive to Boise when they want like a big operation or they need something substantive and big because they just don't offer that service at the Magic Valley Hospital or the Jerome Hospital or you know the different ones in like Burley and Wendell and Buell and all that. But um, when it comes to creative writing, I've been really crunching on that, so I'm trying to get those books out. Been watching a lot of good stuff going on, and here's why I made my earlier podcast about this is an age of writers, and the reason that's important is because we have what, 6 streaming services that are really hitting the mark. You got Hulu, Amazon Prime, Netflix, and it should be Netflix was the first one. And I saw a really good meme earlier where Master Splinter was Netflix leading the Turtles, and the Turtles later became, Apple Plus, Amazon, Disney Plus, Hulu, and there's another one that I'm missing. But anyway, so it was very cool to see that meme, and it's true. Netflix was the trendsetter. Netflix was the one that started everything. Netflix came out with their original content. Speaking of original content, The Mandalorian kicks ass. I like the storytelling, very Star Wars esque. Very It's the Star Wars universe, and you're in it, and it follows the one character, the Mandalorian, and they we're just deeply invested right now. We're on episode 2. They're releasing it weekly, which is great. Netflix has a process in place where they literally they film the entire season. They'll dump the entire season on you. I love that because I'll stay home and binge watch the shit out of Stranger Things, and I'll binge watch the hell out of whatever they drop. Like they're coming out with Lost in Space season 2. Can't wait. They're working on Lucifer. They're working on a bunch of others that are Netflix shows. Raising Dion was really good. And again, this is why I stressed stay on the writing path, stay on the writing game, because you never know how. And I think there's a website called Tailflick out there where they take your book or your short stories and they pitch it to producers and things like that, or screenwriters. And screenwriters may be able to turn it, flip it, and put it into a screenplay for you. Or so they do have that. That is a mechanism that is out there. I personally haven't used the service for Hell's Waiting Room and other stories, but maybe when I get done with and I publish linked and I'm working on the other stories, I can go that route. But for right now, I don't know. But it's also behoove you. It behoove you as a screenwriter or as a writer to pick up screenwriting. It's a different format. A lot of people that I've encountered in the creative writing community are very comfortable with what they're comfortable with. So meaning a fiction writer will tell you to your face, like, oh man, I struggle with poetry and just, I don't understand iambic pentameter, and I don't understand, form poetry, or I don't understand, I've always been confused with poetry, or I'm just not a poet. I'm not, I'm not lyrical, and, things like that. And a poet will definitely do the same thing. A poet will be like, yo, the undertaking of a novel is just beyond me. That's why I write poetry, like, so there are some people who interweave worlds. I do that. And I write plays. I really try and write as many different genres and different types and different forms of writing that I can to build my skill set, to build my game. There's an author, John Shirley, who was really good at that. He wrote screenplays. He's written great books. A good book from him is Predator Forever Midnight. Love that book. He wrote the screen adaptation, or not screen adaptation. He wrote the book adaptation of the film Constantine, which is a banger. I love that book. So John Shirley, man, that guy kicks royal ass. But he delves into different types of writing. I mean, the guy will jump genres. He likes sci-fi. The guy writes steampunk. I mean, he lives, eats, and shits writing, and it's fantastic. I love writers like I love authors like that. And then you have niche writers. You have Gary Paulson. You're gonna get a Western-esque, or you're gonna get a adventure story from him. You know what you're gonna get. You've got historical fiction authors who, their brand of storytelling is steeped in history and steeped in historical figures, that they love doing the research, and they love taking these stories from actual accounts and fictionalizing them. That's fantastic, and they have a place. And then you see with Valerio Massimo Manfredi wrote the Alexander series, and then you have the Alexander movie. You have actually one of his books became directly a film. It was The Last Legion. So that's one of those. Hi, Bubba. I told you I'm making a video. I want to go in there with you. You can come in here, but you gotta let me make my video. So just play with the toys. Sorry about that. Anyway, so this is a good time to be a writer. This is a very good time to really explore your writing, and it's something that I would encourage you to stay in the trenches. You never know. You could be picked up as a writer to do a multitude of things, and it's not just bland writing. There's more to writing out there than really bland writing. If journalism's not your thing, then yeah, try fiction. If fiction is not your thing, try poetry, keep going at it. You don't have to just stay in one lane. And if you like, okay, I know some people who are novelists, and they believe that, they are novelists, and I totally endorse their journey and their dream, but they're stuck in a mode. I don't know where it's at, buddy. I don't know where you put it. It's right there. Anyway, so stay in that frame of mind, stay in that mindset. So I love the different streaming services. I love the Mandalorian. I love the Netflix originals. So there are places for writers. There are places for screenwriters. There is a revolution in writing going on, and we're part of the wave. We're part of catching the giant wave of literacy, the giant wave of uh, good authors are out there. I mean, there are so many authors out there now. I mean, it's just, and there's so many good stories. It's just hard to, it's hard to, and this is where I'm going with my mindset here. Is there's gonna at this particular time there's gonna be a lot of authors here who make decent amount of money. Not great money, not fantastic money, but decent amount of money. And there are going to be the few outliers who make banger bucks, but there are going to be others who do okay because they're going to have a novel here, a novel there, and they're going to be on that okay writers list. Even though they released bangers, it may not get picked up until later on. Poe, you have authors who wrote prolific work, and they have great stuff, and they have stuff that transcends time, but it may be until they're older before they get fully recognized because of the amount of content out there. It's all about these days. It's all about the money and the time and the energy you yourself as the author are willing to invest into your own campaign. It's the gone are the days of just sitting there on your manuscript, and you got 10 in a drawer. You're not, people aren't waiting these days for an agent to say, you know what, hey, you got the right stuff. They're not. They're simply like, okay, I know I've got my novel worth of note. My editor thinks it's awesome. I've had a few agents like, take it to major publishers. They just weren't ready to publish yet. Then they turn into indie authors, or they turn into the indie publishers and get them out there. And there are some who have a decent amount of success. There are some that really invest into their craft, and they really invest into their books, and they've got huge universes built out of these books that they sell. There's a guy in Arizona who has a really good series that he put out, and they're very popular amongst the kids. And he's got merch, he's got a video, a PC game. I mean, he's got all sorts of stuff going on. I can't remember the name of the books because wasn't really prepared for talking about that particular book series. But when I find it, I will let you guys know. Genevieve, I'll get them for you just 1 minute. Sorry about that, guys. I've just gotten the load of distractions. But anyway, stay on the beaten path. Look for my work coming out. Thank you for tuning into Creatacast with your host, David Welch. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and comment. Let me know what you think about The Mandalorian. Let me know what you think about the different writing genres, and exploring all areas and increasing your game, advancing your game as a storyteller and as a writer by delving into different modes of writing.